Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and today I have another Battery Commandery guide for you covering LangYe. This is a subscriber requested video, and since he was playing as Kongrong, I will also be adding a Kongrong variation to the standard build that will be good for all factions. If you also want to request any guides on the channel, please feel free to leave those requests in the comment section below. Now to get started, let's take a look at where LangYe is on the map. You can see here that LangYe is located on the eastern portion of the map, taking up the southern half of the Shandong Peninsula. Aside from its commandery capital, it also has two additional specialty counties in the lumberyard, which is slightly east of the settlement county, and the fishing port, which is farther out east. With these two specialty counties, we can start to deduce the ideal build for LangYe by looking at the options for the level 5 upgrades for these specialty counties. Starting with the lumberyard, we have the option to either go for 160 peasantry income plus a 15% trade influence multiplier, or 150 peasantry income and 5 military supplies per turn. Since I firmly believe military supplies is a worthless bonus in the game, as you will rarely ever need it in your own territories, I will have to suggest always going for the 160 peasantry income and 15% trade influence, as it not only provides the better bonus, it also provides the higher income. As for the fishing port, this is a very interesting specialty county, as for the first 4 levels, it functions very similarly to a farmland on sea, as it basically is a food producing county with an upkeep cost. At level 5, we can see this continue with the first option here, as it produces 8 food with an upkeep of 60 per turn, but we are also given an added option at level 5 to produce a little less food at 6, while losing the upkeep entirely and instead enjoying 100 commerce income from the fishing port. This is pretty game changing in my opinion, as you shift an upkeep county that only gave you food to now a commerce income county that is upkeep free while also giving you a decent amount of food. With this one upgrade, this farmland on the sea essentially becomes a livestock farm on the sea. So in all our builds, we're going to be recommending the more income focused option for both of the specialty counties as shown here, and this basically decides that LangYe is best built as a peasantry and commerce focused commandery. First, we will look at an early game build to see how we want to transition to an eventual late game build, as the late game build with higher settlement levels will require more food support from your other commanderies, so in the early game, we can start out with this 3 building build that requires just a small city. We picked the small city as our starting point because most building chains require the small city as a prerequisite to even be built, so this is a good point to look at for our early game. Now we can see here that in the order that they should be built, we have the tax collection building, the private workshop building, and the inn building. The reason for this build order is because this maximizes the Wuxing synergy between these buildings, as the tax collection building is free to build, but provides a 10% discount at level 1 for all economic buildings or purple buildings. This discount will make the private workshop cheaper to build, who in turn gives a 10% discount to the inn building that follows it. Then after you have completed a level 1 building of each type and the discount is active, simply max out your tax collection building first to level 5, as this entire building chain is free to build and upgrade. Then follow up with the inn building for some extra base income before finally completing upgrading your private workshop last, as the multiplier will only have an impact if you have somewhat of a base income in your commandery. If we add up all the yields from these buildings, we end up with a small city that provides plus 4 food and 1,170 income per turn. This is decent, but this is not an accurate depiction of the yields because we have not taken into consideration of the reforms needed to upgrade these buildings in the first place. So if we look at our reform tree here, we can see that we need a total of 13 reforms to complete this early game build, and these 13 reforms will also in turn bring us additional benefits like bonus trade influence, commerce income multipliers, and food from fishing boost. If we add these figures into our earlier build, we now have a 10 food commandery with 1,235 income per turn that also gives us a 40% boost to trade influence. It's not a huge difference, but it's still a nice little boost just from these reforms. Now, you might have also noticed that we kept the peasantry income multiplier at 0%, even though we have frequently talked about how population itself brings a passive boost to peasantry income, as shown by this chart. With a small city and 2 specialty counties, our max population at a small city level is 1.8 million. So technically, we should see around an 80% boost to peasantry income, but the issue with this build is that by maxing out the tax collection building first, we now have a massive public order issue. So population itself will never grow in this commandery. Instead, we'll get constant rebellions that you can farm in the early game to give you extra experience for your army, income, and ancillary item for your generals. Now that we have determined our early game build, let's transition into more of a late game build by looking at a small regional city or a 5 building slot build. This level 7 small regional city is a critical breakpoint as all building upgrades are finally unlocked at this settlement level. So as you can see in our build, we have gotten rid of our tax collection building because at this higher population cap, we can no longer deal with the high public order issue. Plus, since we are focusing on peasantry and commerce income build, we should start taking advantage of the population boost that peasantry income enjoys. So without the tax collection building, we can add a level 5 marketplace to our existing private workshop and inn building for maximum commerce income. And for peasantry income, we can add a level 5 land development and a government support building to round things out. This build is food positive, as we are growing food with our land development building. The final yield with all reform bonuses added is 14.5 food, 3,253 income per turn, and a bonus 115% to trade influence. As you probably notice, we didn't include any public order boosting building like temple in our build. This is because I believe at this population cap of 3 million, that is 2 million from the settlement and 500,000 each from each county, we see a public order penalty of just -14. This is a level that we can handle without committing precious building slots. As we mentioned in our Kongrong Tall guide, we can rely on reforms such as these shown here, as well as items and traits from our leaders and administrators to balance out the -14 public order from population. But I have to say, the income figure shown here is still a little low. We can obviously improve this with assignments, administrators, or simply by securing a tea resource through trade to build the tea variant of the inn building for more income. Or we can simply rely on other commanderies for food and shift the land development here to a livestock market of the commandery capital option as shown here to boost our income to almost 4,000 per turn, while our food production now becomes -22. Now, if your faction has plenty of food, then definitely consider upgrading the settlement just one more time to reach level 8 or a regional city for that final 6 building slot. This upgrade will not only consume more food, but will also shift our population cap up by another million and in turn create more public order issues. If you can't deal with the public order, then the last building slot will have to be the temple building, as it's the most cost-efficient way to deal with public order. However, if you're dealing with public order just fine through reforms and character traits, then definitely consider boosting your income by adding a state workshop building, which will also curb corruption. Speaking of corruption, if it does start getting out of hand, then you can also consider a level 5 administrative office building in the office for archive and seals for a massive 20% boost to corruption reduction as well. In summary, temple takes care of your public order, state workshop adds the most income while providing a good amount of corruption reduction, and the administrative office provides the most corruption reduction but only adds a little bit of income with its 15% boost to all income sources. Now, before we end our guide, the subscriber did say he was playing as Kongrong, so we are going to showcase a tall build as Kongrong in LangYe, featuring a level 10 Imperial City build. Now at this level, the population scale is off the charts, so you will be reaching the maximum 350% peasantry income boost, as well as the maximum 35-point penalty to public order long before you reach the 8.5 million population cap. With Kongrong, we'll go with a commerce-heavy build with a private workshop, inn, marketplace, academies of culture, land development, and finally a military infrastructure building. Most of these buildings are very similar to our final 5 building build, but the key difference here is in the Academies of Culture, which is Kongron's faction unique building, and the military infrastructure building. Both of these buildings will help provide public order to balance out the negative 35 points that you receive from the high population. The Academy is great as it provides public order without adding upkeep costs. This is the only building that's available to Kongron that can do this. Additionally, you get a new income source called culture income, which can be boosted farther if you have any sort of income from all sources multiplier. The military infrastructure building here is the most expensive public order option with an upkeep of 120 while providing only 12 public order, but it does provide a valuable extra retinue of garrisons on defense, as well as wall-mounted trebuchets on defense as well. This is very helpful when playing as Kongron because Kongron's faction suffers a 35% penalty to trade influence for every army they keep on the field. So to maximize our trade influence and trade income, it is vital that our commanderies can defend themselves with minimum army assistance. So with this building and administrator with full retinue in place, we can have a full army in each of our commanderies to defend them without any army help. So in this final build, we have minus 52 food, almost 5,000 income per turn, which can easily hit 8,000 with the right assignments and administrators in place. And the nice thing here is that it will also grant us 185% to our trade influence, which all Kongron players know is where the real money is at. So to wrap up our guide, let's return to the map to look at the adjacent commanderies to see where potential corruption reduction buildings will come from. LangYe has 5 adjacent commanderies in Donglai, Beihai, Dong, Pengcheng, and Donghai. Of these 5, Dong with its iron mine and Donghai with its fishing port, which will give commerce income, are ideal commerce industry combo commanderies. So you can easily add a state workshop in these commanderies for the nice 15% reduction to corruption. Aside from these, the other 3 commanderies are great food producers where you can get the extra food needed to build tall in LangYe. And that concludes our guide, and hope you guys enjoy this. And if you want to request guides on the channel, simply subscribe and comment to let me know. Once again, thank you guys for watching and see you next time. Bye!